and the Hilula of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. His name, obviously, is Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, Zecher Tzadik Lebracha. He was born in English year 1902. He passed away on June 12th in the year 1994. So he was a very famous rabbi of his time. So I wanted to actually, as a special edition today, speak about his relationship with regards to Sephardim minhagim, because Chabad, they came into, and Lubavitch, came into various different Sephardic, let's say Edut Mizrach, North African countries, made a huge impact over there and really injected a huge amount of Torah and did a lot of outreach over there and helped the community in tremendous ways, and still does in many different cities, and have a special connection. So he had a very positive attitude in regards to Sephardim keeping their heritage, and various questions were posed to him, and I thought I'll just read it over because it just shows the brilliance of the great rabbi. It's actually in the chabadinfo.com website. I'm, let's just say, using over here for this article. So the question was posed, I think, 2 years ago in the Beit Midrash section. It says, should Sephardic students be encouraged to take on Chabad customs? So now this happened to be been posed, I believe, from a Chabad rabbi, asking him obviously many years ago. So I'll say the question. I am a principal of a Chabad affiliated day school in a city where there are many families of Sephardic background that follow the Sephardic customs, and these students make up a large portion of our student body. So I was wondering if we should make a goal of having these students adopt minhagei Chabad, viz the nusach of davening, etc. And now there's going to be answers with regards to this. There's a full article, I believe, written from, but we'll adapt it over here. This was, I think, a question by Gershon Avtzon. So that's the question he poses. So he answers over here. A special thank you for reaching out to me on this, as this is a very personal topic for me and my family. Even though I am the oldest biological son of my parents, Sheyichiu, I always say that I have about 10 older brothers. How so? So he is going to quote it over here inside the article. My 10 older Persian brothers. Over here, by the way, this article is going to illustrate how the Lubavitcher Rebbe really respected Sephardim minhagim and encouraged Sephardim to continue their minhagim, especially even if they were in a school system of Chabad or connected to Lubavitch. It's quoted over here, my 10 older Persian brothers. Okay. In 1979, many Jewish Iranian boys were rescued from Iran after the Islamic Revolution without their parents and brought to Crown Heights through the efforts of the NCFJE, directed by Rabbi J.J. Hecht. A large group of these boys ended up living, he says, with my parents, and many are Rabbanim and Shluchim today. And he states over inside this article, I remember clearly hearing from them how the Rebbe insisted that these children be served rice on Pesach, even though, let's say, it's against a Chabad custom, as this is their minhag. So this is the first sign over here, how he really, remember, pretty much all the Ashkenazic communities would not hold of eating kitniot on Pesach. The vast majority of Sephardic customs would hold to eat rice. Obviously, there are exceptions within different communities that might not eat rice, even among the Sephardim, I think, especially Moroccans, and maybe a few other places. But he would insist over here, even though they're now in a Chabad system, in a Chabad framework over here at that stage in time, that they should keep their minhagim at that stage in time and be served rice on Pesach. So he's going out of his way also to do it. So once again, showing the importance of Sephardi minhagim and how highly he regarded it, and how also a lesson over here that one coming inside an Ashkenazic school framework should not, abandon, let's say, their minhagim. This would also work the opposite way, I would also assume. Now, I believe now we're talking about the topic of Elul and Slichot at an area called Bronoi. What is this? In addition, in the early years of the Rebbe's, Nisyus, a question came from the legendary manager of the Nahel of the yeshiva in Bronoi, France. His name was Rabbi Nissan Nemenov over here, and many of his students were coming from Sephardic homes in Morocco and Tunisia, and they had a custom to say Slichot the entire month of Elul. Obviously, the Chabad custom would be to start the week before Rosh Hashanah over here. So the Rebbe instructed him to encourage those students to indeed start from the beginning of Elul. The following Now, I'm quoting the article here on ChabadInfo.com. It says the following are some of many letters where the Rebbe addressed the education of Sephardic children in Chabad educational institutions. What should we do? Now, with the guidance he gave with regards to the Moroccan shluchim, let's just say, I think it was in the year 1951, the Rebbe sent the following letter to shluchim in Morocco. And it says, with regard to your questions concerning your involvement in education of girls, it is difficult to give instructions from here regarding the particular matters involved. The general point is that there are several customs of modesty with regard to women and girls that have been practiced among Sephardim for several generations. Therefore, great care must be taken regarding the education of their girls, so that it will not be said that from the time Lubavitch arrived in the community, a transition was made from a high level of holiness to a lower one. I think this was an igrot in the volume 4, page 68, that actually says that. So once again, very much strongly advocating to, let's say, the Sephardi sphere of modesty, or those customs, let's just say, within regards to that. I believe in 1953, the Rebbe wrote a strongly worded letter to the administration of a yeshiva in the land of Israel that had many Sephardic students. The yeshiva schedule was that students would be home the entire Tishrei. The Rebbe strongly encouraged them to try to have Talmidim to be in the yeshiva from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. The Rebbe adds a great benefit for the Talmidim is difficult to estimate and evaluate, even though it is important not to, let's say, change customs that these students and their families have practiced for generations. Nevertheless, it's certain that there are a few Chabad customs which you can adopt, which are not contradictory to the above. So once again, stating how important traditions are, and just adding you can strengthen yourselves in different areas in regards to learning extra Torah. Now, he says that Hasidut doesn't have to be exclusive to Ashkenazic accent, and Sephardim should still keep to the Sephardic pronunciations over here. I think this was letter in the year 1955. There was a teacher named Rabbi Abram Layeda, who had many students of Yemenite origin in his class. He wrote to the Rebbe that he would like to encourage his students to change the Hebrew pronunciation to the classic Ashkenazic Hasidic pronunciation. Now remember, many Sephardim will not be happy about this whatsoever. We can say that from the outset. And the Rebbe also was not happy about this. The rabbi that asked the Rebbe said this would be important for him, the teacher thought, as these students would be giving over, let's say, ma'amarim, and he wanted them to be able to review them as well. So he's stating that for those reasons, maybe they should switch, or maybe just part of the time while they're in the class. The Rebbe responded over here, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, being that this pronunciation has been done this way for many generations, there is no reason to have them change it now. It is certain that giving over Chasidut with the Sephardic pronunciation, through which they are holding onto and continuing the path of their ancestors that have endured much Mesirat Nefesh and Kiddush Hashem, will cause great pleasure above and draw down blessings below. So the importance of keeping tradition, keeping pronunciation, Sephardic pronunciation, even if someone is learning Chassidut or some various different books connected to Chabad Lubavitch in of itself. Now it's actually interesting. Don't enforce Nusach HaArizal over here. This is what's written in 1978. The management, the Hanhala of the Reshet Ohalei Yosef Yitzchak School Network in Israel wrote to the Rebbe that they had a meeting and decided that going forward they would insist on that all children would daven the Nusach Arizal Chabad Silu. The Rebbe sharply responded, "Who participated in this meeting?" he asked. "Where are the minutes of the meeting? Is this allowed according to the Code of Jewish Law, the Shulchan Aruch? Did they think about how many students they will lose?" There's also various questions he poses, and Igrot, I think, in volume 30, page 26. And let's say the connection to Mashiach over here he talks about. The area of Sepharad, Spain, from which the Sephardic minhagim originated and brought all over the Middle East and North Africa, is explicitly mentioned in Nevi'im, in the book of Obadiah, in chapter 1, verse number 18, in regards to the places of exiles that the Jews were sent but will eventually return from. And this exiled host of children of Israel, who are with the Canaanites as far as Tzarfat, which obviously I think France would say, and the exile of Jerusalem, which is in Sephard, Spain, shall inherit, let's just say over here, the cities of the Southland, and saviors shall ascend Har Zion to judge the mountain of Esau, and the Hashem shall have the kingdom. And now the article says, it is interesting to note in this regard that the Rebbe's first shluchim, after he began, this was of course initiated with the stated goal of bringing the Messiah, were to the North African countries he would bring, with the goal of bringing the light of Chassidut, its goal as well famously stated as bringing the Messiah to these deeply religious and pious communities of Sephardic Jews. This was a brilliant article. I thought that will encapsulate it. I think there's a website called therebbe.org also that will illustrate other examples of how he valued the Sephardic community and the Sephardic synagogues across the world, and really, really did appreciate, let's just say, the minhagim, the customs of the North African countries, respectively. So I thought it's a good article. This was definitely appropriate. It's his Hilula today. Really famous rabbi. I strongly state that everyone should light candles in his memory. We've spoken about him on various occasions here in this series. We've covering actually on this series many of the great Oriental rabbis, North African rabbis of yesteryear, looking at biography videos. So just like in the video of the Baal Shem Tov, where we concentrated on him and the Or Chaim HaKadosh, who was a great Moroccan rabbi, I thought I would bring this about how important it is in regards to the greatness of the Rebbe and his connections. Wish you all well, and please watch over